Bob Nightengale, writer for the USA Today, legendary Major League Baseball writer. Pull up a lawn chair and sit on my lawn as I read Bob Nightingale's article on this. So, the Supreme Court's decision to legalize sports gambling nationwide will invigorate the human element in Major League Baseball and perhaps drastically change the way the sport is viewed. Pardon the baseball industry, from the umpires to players association to the central office itself, for not savoring the change. Because it's baseball, there's no change that they savor. It scares me to death, veteran umpire Joe West, president of the Umpires Union, told USA Today Sports, "I'm not worried about any of my guys doing anything illegal, but I am worried about their security. People won't have just a rooting interest in games, but now they're gambling on them." Now they're gambling on them. Whereas before, they were using offshore books in Costa Rica to do it. Now they're going to be doing it locally. So Joe West, who is as old as baseball itself, thinks that this will negatively impact the game because he's worried about security for players and umpires. $150 billion was wagered last year on offshore books. This is not a new problem. Not just the illegal offshore stuff. Vegas. Sports gambling has been legal in Vegas, so people have been able to legally place bets in Vegas for 100 years? Article that appears to be written in 1907, but I'm reading it on a computer, so that can't be true. You really worry about the criminal aspect. Guys getting hurt, getting their legs broken, anything really. They literally went with the oldest cliche in the books for the mafia? This isn't Colombia? Players are sharing similar sentiments, according to the Major League Baseball Players Association. Did they get Shoeless Joe Jackson to interview for this article? When bad beats happen, it won't be a matter of fans screaming at racehorses or dogs on a track and ripping up their tickets in frustration. That anger will now be turned towards players. Racetracks? There have been more money placed on bets for Major League Baseball last year than on horse races and dog racing combined. It's amazing that drunk fans that hate their lives, will say to players even more with no money on the game. Cincinnati Reds second baseman Scooter Gennett said, "Can't imagine anything worse." What a nice sentiment, Scooter. You are such a good guy. It's amazing what drunk fans that hate their lives will say to players even with no money on the game. How do you know that those drunken fans that hate their lives have no money on the game? In fact, I think 9 out of 10 drunken fans that hate their lives are more liable to bet on games. So long as a player's Twitter mentions don't spring to life after a game turning air, right? Wait, I thought we were worried about like death and legs being broken. It wasn't... Didn't know what Joe West said up there? Joe West, the umpire, was talking about like people getting killed and threats against their lives and legs being broken, and now they're worried about Twitter gangsters. Twitter gangsters. People don't have to bet on games to be Twitter gangsters. Here we go. We'd be naive to think there still aren't fans at ballparks who aren't wagering on games now. Yes, you would, and I'm glad you waited 4 paragraphs to write that. But if Major League Baseball dares to embrace legalized gambling in the sport, what stops it from becoming an epidemic? Like the flu in the 1900s that killed millions of Americans. Why stop at gambling on the money lines of each game when you could put money on a player's at bat in the 6th inning? The number of relievers who come into a game, or simply whether the first pitch of each inning is a ball or a strike. That literally happens now, and you can. And that would only make the sport better and far-reaching. It would only make Bob Nightengale, your job, more profitable. It would only make players' jobs more profitable. It would only mean more money flowing into the sport because it's not competition with your sport. It's a complement to your sport. In business, it's a very, 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 very important distinction. I'll continue reading. Money, of course. Ah, yes, money. That dirty money that I'm being paid to write this BS article. Sports betting happens, Commissioner Rob Manfred told Yahoo Finance this spring. Whether it's legalized here or not, it's happening out there. So I think the question for sports is really, Are we better off in a world where we have a nice, strong, uniform federal regulation of gambling that protects the integrity of sports, provides sports with the tools to ensure that there is integrity in the competition? Or are we better off closing our eyes to that and letting it go on as illegal gambling? The Supreme Court didn't say, every state can make their own laws for sports gambling, to regulate sports gambling. Oh, and by the way, racketeering is now legal too. You are still not allowed to fix games. That's still illegal. So the thing is, baseball's doing this, and every sport will do this. They're going to talk a lot about integrity of the game. They're talking about racketeering. It's still illegal. Still illegal. Quote, and that's a debatable point. Major League Baseball realizes that jumping into bed with gambling world can be profitable. Yes, absolutely it can and will be profitable. From integrity fees to partnerships with casinos to perhaps their own gambling windows at the ballpark, ensuring the action-loving fans stay in their seats until the ninth inning. In a sport that is generating more than $10 billion annually, does baseball really want to go down this road? Yes, of course, the moral high horse. You already have $10 billion annually. I mean, what could stop your forward momentum other than the majority of your fans dying off? So, by the way, integrity fees, I don't think that will happen. Just going to say that. But partnerships with casinos, yes. Advertising deals with casinos, yes. Gambling windows at the ballpark, yes. And again, more people will be interested in watching your games because there will be money on the line. That creates greater interest in your games. So that is a revenue stream that you can't even really quantify. But it creates more interest in your sport and every other sport for that matter. Oh, and then he ends with Pete Rose. That's the best, right? Of course, it's baseball. You can't not out with Pete Rose. Maybe it's a question more suited for Pete Rose. The guy who's permanently banned for gambling on baseball. You remember that guy? He's one of the worst people on earth. Now let's look at Ty Cobb's bust at the Hall of Fame.